So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order. Manchester United did not score enough goals in the Premier League last season. Now that might seem like a slightly odd thing to say, considering they finished third in the league, suggesting that they were one of the better teams in the division. However, in my opinion, they still did not score enough goals, certainly compared to the top teams in the league, and that is backed up by the stats as well. Now Manchester United finished third in the league, but despite that, there were 7 teams which either scored the same amount or more goals than them. We've got Manchester City topping the charts with 94 goals, and Arsenal on 88. But we also have Liverpool, Brighton, Spurs and Newcastle, all who finished below United in the table, but scored considerably more goals than Manchester United. So in my opinion, moving forward, Erik ten Hag needs to find a way to add goals to this team. Now of course some of that will come through new signings, the likes of Mason Mount, maybe a new striker, things like that. Also an improved play style, a new goalkeeper in the team certainly kind of allows the team to do that. And of course also more training and the team becoming more used to Erik ten Hag's principles. However, there is also another way in which you can quickly sprinkle 10 goals into a team, which would make a big difference over the course of a season, and that is with set pieces. Now for me, attacking set pieces and attacking corners in particular is one of Manchester United's biggest weaknesses, and once again it is backed up in the numbers. Last season, Manchester United took the 10th most corners out of every single side in the league. However, when we look at the number of goals they scored from set pieces last season, they scored just 5, ranking them as the worst attacking set piece team in the Premier League. Now if we compare that to someone like Brentford, where we can see that they ranked 16th in the league for corners taken, but 3rd for goals scored with 16 goals from set pieces in the Premier League last season, we can see that there is a clear difference in terms of quality. If Manchester United could add that extra 10 goals which Brentford got last season from set pieces, it would be a big boost. So the question is, what kind of principles can Ten Hag take from Thomas Frank and his setup and add to this Manchester United team? Now, it might sound a little bit odd to kind of even say that, because Manchester United and Erik ten Hag are clearly better than Brentford. However, it is important for any coach, any setup, any football club to constantly be evolving and adapting and learning new things. And there are certainly things which Ten Hag could learn from Thomas Frank. So let's take a look at what makes Brentford so good at set pieces and how United can do it. Well, the first thing you need to be a good team in terms of your set pieces is a good set piece taker, and it seems like United have addressed that already with Mason Mount coming into the club, who for me is one of the best set piece takers in the Premier League. Whether that be shooting directly from free kicks to shoot a goal, or corner swinging into the box, Mason Mount is certainly up there, so that is the first box which Erik ten Hag has ticked. However, it's clear that United need more than just that, because Eriksen was a good corner taker last season. United need to take a look at some of the principles of Brentford. And the first principle of Brentford, which is really very interesting, that the only team in the Premier League which do it, is they break a really old, well-known rule in football. That rule is that when you attack a corner, you still have players back defending the counter-attack. Brentford kind of ignore that, as we can see in this picture here. They have 2 players short, 2 players on the edge and 6 players in the penalty area. That's all 10 of their outfield players pushing forward to attack the corners. And that is very bold, but let's see if United could do it. So let's say United decide to push all 10 of these outfielders forward to attack the corner. We need to look at who is picking up what positions and whether or not it really works with this team. And the first thing we need is our corner taker, which we have already decided is going to be Mason Mount. Now, as we saw in that Brentford still shot earlier, you also need another player close by. Now, what does that player need to have? Well, ideally, they need a very, very good delivery into the box, but also, preferably, they are a different foot to the corner taker. So Mason Mount is right-footed, United need a left-footed player who can deliver the ball into the box. Who makes sense? In my opinion, it is Luke Shaw. Now, the main reason you do this is to cause confusion for the opposition. First of all, they don't know whether the ball coming into the box is going to be an in-swinger or an out-swinger, because they're both options for United on the ball. The other thing it does is it causes the opposition to take an extra player out of the penalty area. When you only have one corner taker short, it means that the opposition can kind of deal with it quite easily. When you put 2 players short, the opposition need to pull 2 players out of the penalty area to prevent this overload in this area. So that is something United could certainly do with Mason Mount and Luke Shaw. The next thing we also need is players on the edge of the penalty area. we saw Brentford with 2 players standing on the edge. Now what do those 2 players need to have? Well, again, they need, they're on the edge of the penalty area, they need a good long range shot, a long range shooting ability to trouble the goalkeeper from range. But again, they also need a little bit of creativity, an ability to play maybe a reverse ball, or something a little bit creative in the final third. Who fits both those boxes of long range shots and also creativity? Well, in my opinion, it is Bruno Fernandes and Antony. I think those 2 make sense in terms of players on the edge of the penalty area to strike the ball from distance. Now we need the players we are actually actively targeting in the box. Now for this, Brentford use 3 players. One which typically attacks the near post, one which typically attacks the far post, and one which goes through the middle. They should be your 3 best headers of a ball. Who is that for Manchester United? Well, for me, the best header of the ball is Casemiro, so he should be the main target in the middle. Raphael Varane would probably be next up, so he should also be one of the target men. And then ideally, the new number 9 which comes into the club will be a good header of the ball, so he can go at the far post. Those are your 3 players attacking the ball. That leaves United with 3 more players: Dalot, Lisandro Martinez and Marcus Rashford. What do you do with those 3? Well, those 3 are maybe the most important, because they are the blockers, making room for other players to attack. So you put Dalot into this area here, Lisandro Martinez into this sort of area here, and also Marcus Rashford. And their whole idea basically is to disrupt the box and make it chaotic. Now, of course, teams will naturally react to this. We've seen already they will have 2 players short, but they also will not have these players higher up the pitch. With United committing every man forward, the opposition have to commit all of their men backwards to deal with it. So it would lead to situations like this, with sort of 1 player on the edge kind of marking 2 players, and then also a man versus man situation in the penalty area. The question from here is, how does this allow United to score more goals from corners? Well, there's a few ways. First of all, we have the option of going short. We have an in-swinging or an out-swinging ball into the box, which makes it more difficult for the opposition to set up and predict the ball which will come into the penalty area. The other thing we have is the advantage of this 2 versus 1 on the edge. If United are smart with it and work the ball short, you can have a situation where you have Mason Mount, Shaw, Fernandes and Antony, 4 players up against just 3 defensive players. So maybe if you're smart with it and work a ball into this area and then we see a reverse ball into this sort of position, that could be very, very dangerous. And it's something which Brentford have done quite well on occasion in the past, leading to some really good goals. United, supposedly on paper, have the better players to execute this, so it certainly could work. Now, of course, also the focus of this video is actually the delivery into the box. So how does this setup improve United's chances of scoring? Well, first of all, as we've already said, you have a good corner taker in Mason Mount. But the important role is the blockers, because these players, from a defensive point of view, typically look to come out and header the ball as it comes into the box. That is their role from a defensive side of things. By having these blockers, you stop them coming out. You force them closer to their own goal line like this. Now, we can't quite show it properly on this tactic board because it isn't really zoomed in enough, but you can force them all the way backwards. If these players then start a little bit deeper towards the edge of the penalty area like this, you open up this corridor of space in the penalty area, in the area where the ball should be going, to cause the most danger basically, to cause the most havoc in the opposition defence. And this is why you have your best headers of the ball on the edge. Now, like I've said already, these 3 players, one's going to go towards the back post, one's going towards the near post, and, one's going to the middle, and one is going to the near post. And if you can beat your man in this 1 versus 1 situation, and the ball is good, we can now see that these 3 players have the real potential to attack the ball. Whether that be a ball to the far post, and you're going to look to kind of head the ball back across. Now, typically that would be stopped by this player coming out, but Rashford is now the blocker in this situation. United can head the ball back across goal. Also, the other option is to go for near post flick-ons, race into this area, flick the ball towards the back post where we have this back post runner, which could be the new striker coming into the club, or also Casemiro running in. On top of this, the blockers also create the ability for low crosses into the penalty area. Now again, this is something which very few sides do. Most sides cross the ball into the box looking for a header from a set piece. It makes sense. But Brentford use their blockers to allow a low ball to come into the box, so you can see things like volleys. Particularly with someone like Casemiro, who's a very good striker of the ball. With this ball coming low into the box, Dalot blocking the runner. Casemiro could get there, volley it. That could also be something we see. Ivan Toney's done it very, very well for Brentford in the past few seasons. Again, it could work for United. I think the most important thing about this new setup for Manchester United, though, is that it is versatile, it's unpredictable. Currently, the ball seems to get floated into the box, kind of chucked into the box, it gets headed away and dealt with very easily. By building this sort of set-piece routine, if you like, it creates problems for the opposition because it is much more difficult to read and predict what United are going to do. Are they going to go short and work this 2 versus 2 situation? Is it going to be an in-swinging ball with the left foot or an out-swinging ball with the right foot? Can they work the ball to the edge from where we could see a long shot, we could see a reverse ball, we could see a clipped ball into the edge of the box? Also, are they going to attack the near post, the middle, the back post? Where are these blockers going to be playing? It causes a lot of problems for the opposition, and it makes it so much harder for them to read. And, you know, this might all seem really very basic, and that's because in a way it is. But, like I've said, Brentford are the only team in the Premier League which do it, and they are the best set piece takers probably in the world. So if you are Manchester United, if you are Erik ten Hag, why not try it? Like I said, it can give you an extra 10 goals a season, which could be huge come the end of the year. Now, whilst it is a basic structure, it still takes work. You know, the timing of delivery is very important, the quality of delivery, the timing of the runs in the middle, where the blockers are standing, where players are running. It is all very important, fine-tuned stuff, which Brentford have really mastered. For United to do that, it does need work on the training ground. But in terms of literally as a setup and a structure, I certainly think it is something which Erik ten Hag could implement. And I mean, the proof is there in the pudding that it works. We've seen Thomas Frank do it with this Brentford side, and it works very, very well. Week in, week out, they are the best set-piece takers in the Premier League, and they cause a lot of problems for pretty much every single club. United could do the same thing with this structure from either side of the pitch. It really doesn't matter. They could do the same thing and cause real problem for the opposition. And I think they should. And that, in my opinion, is how you can quickly add an extra 10 goals a season to this Manchester United side by using a new set-piece structure. That's basically all I've got to say for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think this is as simple as it looks? Again, of course, the intricacies in training are very, very important. The delivery has to be right, timing, etc, etc. But genuinely, I do believe that this setup would be so much better than the one which United use currently. And again, if you can add 10 goals over the course of the season, it is genuinely a massive, massive impact when it comes to crunch time. That ability to get a goal out of nothing with a ball into the box would be absolutely huge to this side, so that is why United should use this corner setup. It's also why you should subscribe to the channel before you go, but apart from that, thank you guys for watching, I hope you have enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.